How is it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we have a very exciting video. We are going to be talking about the brand new Lamborghini Countach LPI 804 that Lamborghini just announced. Now, we haven't had a Countach literally since 1990, so it's been over 30 years since the Countach has been in production. And I mean, unless you've been living under a rock, the Countach it's one of the most iconic Lamborghinis, if not debatably the most iconic Lamborghini ever produced. And it's been featured in a lot of pop culture. It was pretty much the poster car of the 1980s, at least here in America, with movies like, you know, the Cannonball Run and stuff like that. But it was a fantastic car. It was a small, wedge kind of shaped. It was very, very famous for its wedge style, but it was a very small, lightweight V12 mid-engine V12 Lamborghini. And it was honestly a car that one could kind of trace the roots of the Diablo, the Murcielago, and even, you know, modern day like Aventadors back to the Countach. And today, I mean, starting off right on Lamborghini's website, today they actually just kind of released this, and you can see this is going to be the brand new Countach. I don't know if it's going to be a 2022 model year, 2023. I have no idea, but you can see the old one really like nestled away in the back here, and then the new one front and center. This image does look like CGI, but there is some images in here that look pretty real. I don't know if they actually produce like a prototype version yet or not, but they have announced and confirmed that they will be producing this car. Now, that being said, before we get any further, the kind of rumors about Lamborghini not making a V12 again and going fully electric, it's not going to be true if this car is produced, because they have also announced that they will be making this with a V12. However, they are actually going to take the hybrid drivetrain out of the Scion or Scion, however you want to call it. But yeah, this new Countach is going to be a hybrid. Now, that being said, I already looked into the specs, and the total horsepower numbers is right over 800. It's going to be right at 803. That's why it is going to be called the LPI 804. And by the way, the 4 does stand for all-wheel drive, or four-wheel drive, but not, we all know, not really 4x4. But yes, this Countach is going to be all-wheel drive. I'm assuming the V12, which is still going to be mid-engine, or, you know, mounted in the middle of the car, in the rear of the car. I'm assuming the V12 is going to probably power the rear wheels, whereas the electric motor, the two electric motors, are going to be powering the front wheels. But it is looking like the V12 that's going to be in this new Countach is going to be a 6.5 liter naturally aspirated engine, and that engine is going to actually make by itself right around 770 horsepower. So either the single or double electric motors are only going to be making 30 horsepower. So I mean, technically this car is a hybrid, but 90% of it is going to be that monstrous V12 in the back of the car. Now, scrolling down on Lamborghini's website, they do have these two videos. This first one is obviously showing a very like dusty old Countach. I don't know what the point of that is here, but now it's kind of like blowing the dust away, and now here's the new Countach. But yeah, this video later on, it does actually kind of go back and forth, and you look at both the, you know, new and the old body styles, and there's a lot of similarities. Now, there's some things of the new Countach I don't like, specifically those taillights right there. Me personally, I just don't really like that design. I know it's coming from the Lamborghini Scion, however it's pronounced. Sorry if I mispronounced it. But yeah, I don't really like the taillights, but I do like the back of it. It still has like the taillight kind of shape that the old Countach had in the back, and you can still see the wedge there. That overall silhouette is very similar to the original Countach's. And scrolling down, we can see 3 pictures of the new Countach. The picture of the front here, You can see, obviously, they're not going to be going with pop-up headlights. The car manufacturers have left those back in the 90s. But you can see the very angled front here with two kind of like side grills, looking very similar to the original Countach, as well as, again, the Lamborghini Aventador. And then in the rear, you can see the kind of this black outline around the taillights that I was briefly touched on before, and that's what I mean by the overall shape. That, like, it shares that shape from the original Countach, but the taillights themselves, those three little ovals on each side, me personally, I don't really like. But again, in the entire car, like, that's like the one little thing that I don't really like. And then there's picture from the top. You can see the very iconic shark fins on the side, and the back, which has like the louvered engine cover in the back there, which I just think looks amazing. Now, that being said, I would love to see a trim level of this new Countach that comes with that iconic kind of squarey rear wing that was seen on the original Countaches, but that is neither here nor there. Now, moving on to the interior, this is the pretty much two pictures from Lamborghini that we get of the interior. Honestly, just from these two pictures, it does look pretty simple. You can see a lot of buttons here in the center, but it is going to obviously be a modern car. The digital display looks very Huracan-esque. I'm pretty sure they're just going to be recycling the same exact display that they use for the Huracan. And also the red engine start and stop button is a regular Lamborghini start and stop button that is pretty much used on everything from the Urus to the Aventador to the Huracans. And they also do have another trailer, or, you know, announcement, commercial, whatever you want to call it, of this new Countach. I'm probably not going to be playing the audio because a lot of this is copyrighted, but again, it's just going back and forth from the old one, shots the old one right here with the scissor doors, you know, the pop-up headlights, and just, again, the overall wedge design, and then it kind of fast forwarding to the end here, sorry about that. It is going to show the new one. And yes, this commercial kind of does reiterate that it is coming out pretty much on the 50th anniversary of its initial launch of the Countach. And again, I just really love the shape of this vehicle. It doesn't look like it's going to be as wide and as long as an Aventador, and it also does look like it is, again, going to be retaining that iconic Countach silhouette. And now, moving on to this article, it does say that the top speed for the Countach is going to be 221 miles per hour, which is awesome. I know that's not really in competition with a lot of the crazy hypercars that we see today, but for a supercar, that's still very badass. Speaking of badass, I really love this picture from the top of the new Countach right next to the old one. You can see, again, just the similarities of the body lines are very similar. This car, I'm predicting, is going to stay extremely true to its heritage. I also do like kind of like the 80s style, 80s poppy style of these like kind of rendered posters or whatever of the car, because again, it does give you a vibe of like the old original Countach. And even with this picture of the old like yellow Countach, I believe this is actually the original like first gen LP400. You can see that silhouette just carried over into this new car, which I'm just very excited about. I think Lamborghini's probably going to do a phenomenal job with this car if it's half of what they're telling us it's going to be. Because even though it's a hybrid, and a lot of, you know, Lamborghini purists may not like that, again, you're only getting 30 horsepower, 30-something horsepower from the hybrid electric engines. So a lot of that's going to be coming out of a roaring V12 behind you. Also, this car, I feel like it comes without saying, but unfortunately this car is not going to be offered in a manual. But you can see here you do have the integrated paddle shifters just like a Huracan. But they did, I keep saying like the interior is very Huracan-esque, but they did actually change a lot. The center display isn't as complicated as like the Aventadors and the Huracans, but you can still see a lot of buttons. And also you can see the pretty big digital touchscreen right there. And I kind of like how they left this back part with the sport seats and the door panels. They left it very simple looking. And here are actually going to be all the different colors. I'm assuming some of these heritage colors may actually be reused, just factory paint codes that they used on hopefully the original Countaches or like the Diablos or stuff like that. And then obviously do have the contemporary colors as well. But yeah, I'm just very, very excited about this car. And even moving on to this article, this is another short little article that I used to get some information about this car. It does reiterate in this article that this car will have a 2.8 second 0 to 60 time. Obviously 0 to 60 miles per hour and 0 to 100 kilometers per hour is the same exact thing if you don't know. And then a 0 to 200 kilometers per hour in 8.6 seconds with a top speed of 355 kilometers per hour. Again, translates to, 221, I believe. Now, this article also does state that the LPI in the title of this new Countach does stand for longitudinal posterior hybrid. And again, the 800 is referring to the entire drivetrain's combined power, and the 4 is referring to the permanent all-wheel drive drivetrain as well, which that's another thing that I don't necessarily know if I'm going to like with the new Countach. Obviously, the old ones, they were naturally aspirated V12, definitely didn't make as much power, but they were rear-wheel drive, they were manual, and they were definitely a driver's car. I really hope that Lamborghini is going to make this car a driver's car. Obviously, it's not going to be offered in manual. We can kind of write that off. And it's going to be offered in, this all-wheel drive, which a lot of times I feel like with modern all-wheel drive cars, you don't really get that driver's car feel. But again, I really do hope that Lamborghini hits it out of the park with this Countach. And me personally, I am extremely excited to see more news developments on this car. Definitely, if you guys want to see more updates on this Countach as well as other automotive news videos or car reviews or DIY videos or anything like that, definitely consider hitting the subscribe button down below if you aren't subscribed already. And definitely please do consider liking this video, because as a smaller YouTuber, it definitely helps me out a lot. But anyways, guys, like always, thank you for all the support, and I'll see you guys in the next one.